Calories, macro counting, what is all of this? Maybe you've heard of it before. Maybe you are a pro at calories and macro counting. Well, today in this video, that's exactly what we're going to talk about. Hey, I'm Maya. I'm a certified nutrition consultant and functional medicine practitioner on my way to be a certified naturopath and herbal medicine practitioner. So I want to thank you right now for joining me on this video and welcome you to my channel. If it's your first time here, please click subscribe down below and don't forget to press like. So let's get on with it. So here we are. This is MyFitnessPal. Maybe you've heard of it before. Maybe you've seen other apps that can actually help you track calories. Now, MyFitnessPal is probably one of the oldest calorie trackers in the book. And well, it's actually pretty cool because it's got a humongous database. Actually, it's probably got the biggest database for you that are using calorie trackers in different parts of the world, not just in the USA and Canada. For me, for example, I'm here in Portugal, and it's pretty cool because I can just clock things in that are local, or I can scan a barcode, and I can track exactly what I need. Now, calorie trackers are usually a little bit more reliable because you can put in the grams, you can put in the measurements, you can put in the serving sizes of the foods that you're eating. So when my clients really want to get down to the nitty-gritty and actually know, this is the thing about calorie trackers, they're never 100% accurate, but they're the closest thing that we have to accurate. So when my clients want to focus on calorie counting and they want to make sure that they're in a calorie deficit, this is probably the app that I recommend the most. Or you can buy a subscription to this. You can even have more added bonuses to it when you actually have the premium settings. But here, I'm taking you to my personal calorie tracker right now. If you notice, my goals here they're not really the goals that I have set for myself at the moment, but just to give you an idea, this is actually the calories right here. So we've got 1250, and this would be the amount of calories that someone would be eating for a day. Now let's change that because that's not actually how many I'm eating. We're going to change the calories. So what I'm going to do is go to goals. I'm going to edit this, and I'm going to put my calories up to what I would probably need to be eating for a calorie deficit, which is about 1440 calories. And here I can change my carbohydrate ratios. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to put my carbohydrates up to 40. I'm going to put my fat back down to 30, and I'm going to leave it like this. So this is like the normal kind of macronutrient ratio that is usually recommended for people. So 40%, 30, and 30, but that all changes depending on what your goals are. I'm going to leave it at that just so you kind of have an idea. So the cool thing about this is that you can go to food, and this is on my desktop. It's a little bit different on the app, but it's the same thing. It just looks different here. And you can add in the foods that you like to eat, the foods that you've eaten during the day. You can add them according to the name brand or whatever. I use MyFitnessPal very often, so it's got my recent foods, my frequent foods. I've even got meals and recipes that I've put in here that sometimes it's just easier to clock into MyFitnessPal. So all you do is click on, well, in my case, I'm just going to click on the things that I had already eaten yesterday and add that to my breakfast. And it gives me the calorie count, and it tells me exactly what the carbohydrates, fat, proteins, sodium, and sugar are in this meal itself. And you can do that for each of your meals, which is really cool. Let's just go back to lunch just so you can see here. Let's put in something like Coca-Cola, so you can see what I mean. We're going to search for it. And then it's going to come up with some different sizes. Here in Europe, usually 330 calories is like the normal, 330 calories, 330 milliliters is the normal can serving size. And I'm just going to add it to my food diary. And there, so we've got an actual calorie count of what is going on for your day-to-day plan. I'm going to leave it like that. Just for now, and then I'll go back and change it after. But the cool thing about MyFitnessPal is that you can use it to track your food, and you can even actually sync it to your smartwatches if you're doing exercise, and it'll actually upload the calories that you've burned from the exercise you're doing. So it's pretty cool to use, and it's actually not that difficult once you get the hang of it. So just as a side side note so you understand a little bit about calorie intake and how much you should actually be eating if you're in a calorie deficit. Well, number one, that's going to depend on your goals. If you are someone that's sedentary, or if you're someone that is active, or someone that is actually an athlete that works out very often. And another thing too, it's also going to depend on if it's for weight loss or putting on muscle mass. So there's a plethora of things that you have to consider before you actually want to decide how many calories you should be eating. Then there's people who actually want to put on weight, so they're going to have to be eating more calories. The next thing that's really important is making sure that you speak to your healthcare provider, your natural health practitioner, or your nutritionist, dietitian to figure out what the right amount of calories would be for you. There are really good online calculators that you can use, and MyFitnessPal does have a preset goal-oriented calorie count for you, but I still think it's always best to speak to a professional. As a general rule, depending if you are measuring your calories and your weight in pounds or in kilograms, there are two things that you can do. You can take the metabolic factor of 11 for women or 12 for men and multiply it by what you want your goal weight to be in pounds in order for you to get the calorie total, which looks something like this. So we're going to take just an average weight right now in pounds. So we'll do 125 pounds, which is about 57 kilograms. And then we're going to, if you're a woman, multiply it by 11. And if you're a man, let's take a man's weight. I don't know, everyone weighs something different, doesn't matter how much you weigh. We're going to multiply that by 12. So imagine my goal weight was 125 pounds, or my goal weight was 165 pounds. And then I am going to get the overall calories that I should be consuming if I want to be in a calorie deficit. So this is a very basic equation that you can use. There's other things that are involved, but if you're trying to do this on your own and you're trying to figure out how many calories you should be eating, you can kind of start with this basic equation. Now, 1375 seems a little bit low for me and my goals, but if you, like I said, are a sedentary person, there is a range that you can go through depending on the actual goal weight that you have. But nothing beats speaking to a professional and trying to figure out what is going to be best for you. Well, how about macronutrient ratios? Now, in my previous videos and in my 5-day challenge that you can go and see in the show notes, one of the things that I really harp on is actually getting enough protein in your diet. So one of the places that I love to go to get any really solid scientific recommendations is on examine.com. So you need to go and check those guys out because they are fantastic. They have the best research papers ever, and they consolidate everything for you in order for you to figure out what the best supplements are, whether they're effective or not, and you can go and take a look at their protein intake guide. What you can do is go to their website, examine.com, which I'm going to show you right here, and they have their optimal protein intake guide. So what I would do is take a look at the instructions that they give you for calculating your caloric needs and for calculating your protein needs. So we're going to go to the protein one right now. So this is really interesting. It says, for adults, the US recommended daily allowance for protein is 0.8 grams per kilogram. However, a more appropriate statistical analysis of the data used to establish the RDA suggests that this number should be higher, so about 1 gram per kilogram. And I completely agree with this. But here's the thing, a lot of us, we don't eat enough protein, and a lot of us don't know how to get a lot of protein in our diet or enough protein in our diet. So what I would do is go and click on the video that I have for my 5-day challenge called Lighter and Brighter, and I will take you through the steps on how to actually do that and where you can get good sources of protein with the guides that I actually have included in the program too. What you might like, if you scroll down, it'll tell you your weight in pounds or in kilograms. And if this is your goal target weight, it gives you kind of a range of what the lower end to the higher end in grams of what your protein intake should be. And what you can do on MyFitnessPal is actually adjust those percentages according to number or according to the actual percentage. And I find that's really, really helpful for a lot of my clients who are trying to lose weight. If you go down, it'll have protein intakes for athletes. So like I said, depending on your goals, that's all going to change. Maybe you're feeling a bit confused and maybe you're still like, oh, this is so overwhelming. What are macronutrients and what are calories? Well, this was just an introductory video to get you started thinking about it and how you can actually get the results that you want and you want to achieve. So all you need to do is, if you need any help, is go down to the show notes in this video description and click on free consultation with Maya so we can chat about the goals that you have and the results that we can work on for you. Thanks for joining me.